And welcome to the last vlog Thursday of the year, because there's no more Thursdays left in the year. This is number 363. Greetings from all over the place. What's up? Looking forward to trying out Netbird now that iOS app is out. Yes, that was actually they just released it, so it was relative. I think it was like released today or yesterday, but it was released within a pretty short period of time. So yes, that is, for people looking to try that, definitely something to look forward to. Let me turn off all the things that make noise. I was setting up, it's just out of view, but we'll pull it up here. This is a project I was working on, the upgrade to my office. That's actually what the picture is. And it's not finished, but it's almost finished. And more stuff arrived that I needed to put on there. So this is what it looks like right now. It has stuff. Well, it's not how I want it yet, but it's getting there. This is one of those things I do. I get in build mode in my head, like I have to build something new. And I built this bench. It's like 48 by 72, very solid. And I was actually standing on it, no problem. When I was using it, I had to mount a few things so I can jump up on it. I don't worry about it wiggling at all. But it's another IKEA bench. And let me actually show you probably another view. Well, this is another view of it. But I really like building things out of these IKEA countertops, essentially. This is how I end up building out my studio. This is what makes up my desk as well, is the same thing. So if you've seen my studio tour, it seems this. And once this is finished, by probably tomorrow, I might do an updated Homelab studio walkthrough of how things are set up in here. There's still lots of miscellaneous things that need to be picked up. But I wanted this to have an easier place that's in the same room as me to do my testing. And it was getting messy doing my testing in the other room. So that's one of the projects I've been working on. Let's see. Greetings from the whales in the UK. Ooh, the Caribbean. That sounds like a nice warm place. Thanks for the coverage this year. Cheers from mid-Europe. Awesome. Has it started? I asked the times he's on my phone. Stream says already started. I just started. Let's see here. Merry Christmas from Wales. The bearded IT dad. Building a bench. Let's see here. I feel like Homelabbers will move to Netbird since it has an official self-hostable control plane. Yeah, I think it's going to be and it's from them officially. It's not third party. It's not something reverse engineering it. It's first party and well done. I am impressed with how nice it is. It's just a nice setup. The interface was easy. The deployment was simple. It's documented. Like, these are all the things that one asked for in a self-hosted control plane. Hope you and the family had a wonderful Christmas and going into the year. Many good blessings. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you very much. Hello to everyone. Go Lions. Well, I don't watch much sport ball, but I heard that my neighbors do, and I was hanging out with my neighbors, and they said the sport ball is going well for the Lions, so I think that's a good Go Lions statement there. This is also, it's funny because they were, let me find a picture of it. When I do hang out with my neighbors, this is what we do. This is me and my neighbor building a giant fire in his yard. This is, and they were watching sport ball. I just wanted to play in the fire. So this is what Tom does on his day off. But they were watching Lions. They have the Lions game on in their garage where you can see it. Haven't watched video yet. You plan on making a summary now. I am waiting because if you're referring to the overlay VPN, I'm going to make a dedicated video for the people at Netbird, but not until they release their new interface. So I think that their new interface is going to be really nice. It looks good. They sent me a little preview, like some screenshots, and I said, hey, that looks awesome. They're going to let me know when it's released. But I gave enough information of how to set it up, and it's so easy to set up. It barely needs a tutorial. I just want to use it more, so I have some more in-depth knowledge on it as well. Trying to upgrade XCP-NG to 8.3 remotely through ASRock Rack. What could go wrong? All kinds of fun things. That's a definite thing there. Favorite product of 2023, XCP-NG. Speaking of control planes, how does it differ from standard WireGuard? It controls the traffic, port, NAT, etc. I have a whole video on overlay VPNs. That's probably a better start from there. The thing is, WireGuard is just putting keys in with no real management. So, the overlay VPNs that also implement WireGuard actually give you some user management. That's one of the big advantages of using them. I feel like NetBird peer-to-peer discovery might be a tad bit better. It doesn't use industry standard things. The same tech VoIP uses. Who knows? I don't think there's peer-to-peer. It's not really peer-to-peer discovery. It's the coordination server figuring out everything that is available to it to be able to get the peers connected. It figures out where the peers are and discovers how to get those peers talking to each other. For a small office, we do not set up virtualization all the time. It comes down to client needs. Not everybody gets virtualization. It's just not for everyone. It was not released today, but what was released is a new version of Xen Orchestra. I think the blog post is up. Nope, it's not. I don't know why it's not up. By tomorrow, they'll have the blog post up for the newest Xen Orchestra. They have a video they do where they talk about the updates, and then a day later, they release the blog post. Hoping to be in my studio space in the house, going into smallest bedroom to the 16x6 extension for the Homelab production studio with a 20x10 green screen. Awesome. Greetings from just north of Kalamazoo. I haven't been to Kalamazoo in a minute. It's nice out there. How hard is it to update XO if you compile it yourself? Do you need to compile it every time? Yes, but it's not hard. Matter of fact, we can do that. Let's do it live, as they say. We'll pull this up because why not update it? We'll share a screen and we'll do an update to there. It seems like an easy thing to talk about. NetBird uses WebRT. They use a lot of things. They use WireGuard. There's a lot of all the stuff is detailed out in their GitHub. I don't remember if WebRTC is in the list or not. I didn't dive into every protocol used. I focused on the transport layer, which is WireGuard. Happy holidays. Thanks for the content. Do you have any users, customers that were impacted by the Ubiquiti security camera bug to show other user systems? None to my knowledge. At least none reached out to me. So I am unaware of any of them that had the problem. And I got to remember what IP address this is at. That's not it. There it is. It's all those details. I think, what is the user? We'll go LTS. I think that's the right user. Once I figure out the username, I will 16.20. Hey. Now I got to figure out the root password. Hey, I figured it out. Now I got to share screen. Let's see. How do I get this to easily share? This looks good. Then we'll do present. Stop. Present. Window. There we go. Oh, I have a password manager. I just don't have this in the password manager. I know it's only one of two passwords because it doesn't have the most secure password on it. That's why I was typing it. When's the last time you talked to Xavier? I wish you guys doing something together. You guys, but I know you guys. Yeah, Xavier, his work schedule doesn't allow much. It seems for as much fun as he used to. I spent an hour today trying to upgrade XO's upgrade XO from sources. Long to short, got to your forums and made it was easy. Yes, First, let's do this. Let's get this system up to date to make sure it's fully updated. We're going through the whole process here of updating from source. It's pretty simple. Yeah, the demo stuff doesn't necessarily have the best. So we're going to do a git pull. All right. Is it? Now, this already has it on here. We're just doing an update. And we choose option 2. And watch it go. There we go. It's updating. Pretty simple. That's how you update from sources. Do you have the source from script or do you do it manually? I think there's a script for upgrading as well. Yeah, I've done a video on this. If you type in XO source in a YouTube search in my channel, you will find the video detailing how I did this. I'm going to make a new one because the YouTube algorithm, I could actually just re-upload the same one, but it is 3 years old. And they've added a couple new features. So I'll do a new video on it. I almost did that today, but I wanted to get the overlay VPN network done. And then I'll do a video on this topic. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow because this is a short video. It's not hard to do. It's not hard to install these from sources. It's extremely simple. And it's I don't know, just you've watched me do it right here live on the screen. It's going to take about, I should have opened up another, like Tmux this and opened up another one in there, but yeah, it's pretty much almost done right now. It does not take long on my system to do this. Any leaks for so the XO Lite is what the new UI looks like. They've got it. If you look at their design, they've covered how it works and how it's set up. That's all inside their blog. So there's not really any leaks you have to find. They cover their whole design aesthetic and how they're doing everything on there. Still waiting. This part always takes a little while because it's building. So running the installation. Can I open up another tab here? Yes, I can. It's still building. Oh, it's done now. But so it's not pulling the CPU. Waiting for port to be open. And we're going to be on the latest build. Removing the latest 2. Done. That's it. That's all you got to do to update to the latest version. No, it's not complicated. Is this released for the paid version as well or only source? If you do the paid version, this is automated. You don't need to do this with the paid version. With the paid version, it automatically updates itself. Well, you can tell it to auto update essentially. You don't have to worry about this if you have the paid version. That's one of the advantages of the paid version. But I do these from source versions because I like to encourage Homelab people to use this because it's the same software. Matter of fact, you're a little bit ahead if you're using the from sources. You're going to get a slightly newer commit. But if you're doing it from the paid version, you're going to get a stable commit. Matter of fact, they have 2 different release channels. You can get more aggressive on a release channel, but default, you're a little bit behind, so it gets a little bit more tested, but you can change that. Yeah, that's another thing. When I did my earlier video, there's no XO Lite, so now that there's an XO Lite, that will have to be mentioned as well. Worth noting too on this topic, so you guys use email aliases. Yes, no? I mean, yes, there's a lot of aliases I have that go, it's how I organize my email. For example, when I tell people to, and we'll pull this up real quick as a banner. If I say, hey, email us at vlogthursday@lawrencesystems.com, that's not a dedicated mailbox. That's an alias that goes into a special folder so I don't have to filter anything out. And also, people have a hard time spelling Vlog Thursday because I have another catch-all box and I see all the misspellings of Vlog Thursday. I don't bother replying to the people who can't spell Vlog Thursday. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe I'm not being nice by doing that. What up, son?
been in here since that came
Oh, you didn't know that was?
in. No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, my son's admiring my handiwork over here. Are you fresh back from hell?
No, I'm from Target.
Oh, back from Target. Well, that's a different. You went to Target. That's a different form of hell.
Okay.
You just came to say hi.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see. Morning chat, morning Chris's, morning. So you're on the other side of the planet. If it's morning, because it's evening here. Latest stable, never had a issue. Yeah. Yeah. Catch all and normal address, same domain. What provider to use? I have G Suite for Google Workspace. I want to call it G Suite because that's what they used to call it. It is now referred to as Google Workspace. Yes, different kind of hell. I have several throwaway email accounts to some family members so they can have Xbox accounts. Well, this leads me to another problem I run into a lot. I don't have a solution for it. Well, I do, but people don't like my solution, I should say. So it's not that there isn't one. It's just not a happy solution. People try to sign up with anonymous disposable email addresses in my forums. And I probably believe there are people who do this with the best of intentions because they just don't want their email somewhere. But I don't have a solution for those people because every time I let anonymous email addresses in, the majority of the people that do it seem to be spammers. So I've just decided I've had enough of spam in my forums, so I don't let anonymous email addresses sign up anymore. This has upset many people, but I don't have a solution. I've been told I'm not respecting people's privacy, but I'm like, tell me how to allow people in my forums, but not have spam. Until I have a solution for that, my forums, when you sign up, it lets you know if you have an anonymous email address, I just delete it. I have a checker to see the mail relay being used. That's how I figure out if they're anonymous, because you can actually buy a domain and point it at anonymous email addresses as well. I follow the MX records and figure out where they're landing, and then it tells me, and then I delete them. I got no solution for that. So CNWR does use 365. So I still have launchsystems.com on G Suite. CNWR.com is on Office 365. Any reason to use an overlay VPN over a good old WireGuard Docker container? It all comes down to use case. The advantage you have of using an overlay network is as you wander around networks, you never have to worry about whether or not WireGuard will be accessible. If you don't have a public IP address, that becomes an even bigger deal. This is where Tailscale is really nice, that even if you don't have public IPs, you can have Tailscale figure out, or NetBird, figure out how to get the two devices talking to each other without public IP addresses being involved. That's one of the big advantages of it, is the simplicity of using it. So I've been using Tailscale for quite a while because it doesn't seem to care where my laptop wanders, whether I'm here or another area that is not my office or not my studio. And as long as I have internet connection, I can tunnel everything right back out very simply with that. And if my home IP address, which I don't have a static home IP, if it changes, then it'll still figure it out. I never have to really do anything about it. So it's just really nice. Yeah, the teleport VPN is really an overlay style network. So that's definitely a cool feature. Hello from France. Human or spam bot? I have no idea. I have legit emails for Discourse forums because of that. Yeah. Should I put an ad blocker on IoT network? I wouldn't. Still using Submail and Procmail to manage my home email. Guess I'm just old. Yeah, I finally gave up on doing that. It's not the inbound that was ever a problem. I'm good at using Procmail and everything else to filter it. The problem is the outbound is hard. And really the options are using something like SendGrid, or there's a couple other I think it's SendGrid and Mailgun are two popular ones, but getting your email out is the challenge. And it got to be more of a hassle than I wanted to deal with. I was using MailHop years ago, and finally someone blocked MailHop and it caused me a headache. And I said, I need to get invoices out. So I moved all my, maybe 2016-ish, I moved everything over to G Suite. And yeah, that's what solved it. Why not use SOGO? I don't know what SOGO is. Open source groupware? It's the email problem, the biggest one. And since I'm using it for email, the only thing I really use Google for, I have some documents in there. I use it for documents. I use it for mail. I guess I use the calendar as well. It's one of those don't want to deal with the security problems related to trying to self-host things when you share a lot of documents with other people. It's just not a big deal. What if your internal LAN overlaps with your target LAN? Well, that problem gets solved when you're doing things with overlay networks because it adds an extra adapter. I personally use DuckDuckGo's email aliasing service. Obviously, not important stuff enables them to read your email. They promise they don't do it, but you know how it is. Yeah. Yeah. Nextcloud's another headache. Keeping Nextcloud up to date and having documents public facing. I don't know. Maybe in the future, now that it's less of an issue for me because I don't really have that many people I email or manage anymore because Launch Systems is dedicated to the media side of the business. But when it was Launch Systems doing the IT side of the business, there was I didn't feel secure using any of the other stuff out there like that. There's too many documents. I didn't want to worry about a breach from having someone finding a flaw in Nextcloud or one of the tools on there. So, well, the thing I trust Google for is not to have shared my documents with other people. I trust that Google likes keeping information to themselves and for themselves. I will not say that they're good on privacy. I will say they're good at keeping what they know about you within the realms of what they know about you. They don't allow third parties access to it because that's their business model, slurping up all your data and not sharing it with anyone else. Datto has their own line of network gear and SDN. Yeah, that's because Datto, what was that company called? Open something. Datto acquired another company years and years ago. I'd actually tested out the products and I didn't like the fact that they were cloud only. And the problem with them being cloud only was, well, the problem with Datto. Datto bought the company and got rid of the control plane. So all your devices kind of went bye-bye. Open Mesh, that was the one. I've heard lots of bad things about them. Well, Datto's owned by Kaseya. That's enough to make me never want to touch a single thing they ever do again. But Datto's networking, I've heard, wasn't good even before Kaseya bought them. Trying to work out how LAN cache can achieve Windows updates without SSL inspection. I don't know. I don't use LAN cache, so it's not something I looked into. I don't even know how good LAN cache works anymore. Generally, you want to just run a Windows update server if you care about caching it. With the NetBridge self-hosted controller, do you need at least one static IP? Yes. You have to have one publicly available IP address for the controller. Email archiving solution. Nope, I leave them all in G Suite. I have a copy of them in my Synology. Synology does a good job of backing up emails. You know, when I tested the old forever ago Open Mesh, now I'm curious. I'm curious how long ago I tested Open Mesh because I should have an email of that. How old is my Open Mesh? Last time I touched an Open Mesh was 2018, but I think it's not long after that the thing went away. That's not when I started using it. Hold on. What's my oldest? Yeah, well, at least 2018, but they were bought before then. Ever use SonicWall switches? I don't like anything SonicWall makes. I don't like their firewalls. I can't imagine their switches are any better. If I have thousands of photos and videos wanting to put on TrueNAS dataset, just a normal VDEV pool fast enough, or should I metadata SSD mirror? If it's tens of thousands and you want it to index faster, indexing faster is what you'll get out of a metadata. That's it. You're not going to get much else. But like when you do a directory, you're going to go like, or an ls command to see all the files. If you have 10,000 small files, that command will go faster with a metadata drive. But that's really it. I'm setting up my own Homelab. I have a pfSense firewall behind a Proxmox behind it, a Proxmox with a hosting server, WordPress websites, and need email notification to work on the sites. Any suggestions? Find an outbound mail provider. I would try SendGrid, like I mentioned earlier. I think there's one of them. And I use Mailgun. So Mailgun is, I'm going to drop a link in here. They're a good service. I've been using, that's how my forums operate on the back end is Mailgun. You just got to find and set up all your mail records and demarcation and everything so you can use Mailmark as a sender for the domains. Have I ever heard of CIPP? Well, me and Kelvin are friends, so he's definitely talked about it a few times. So yes, matter of fact, me and Kelvin hung out. I love whenever he comes to the United States. He is a friend. I know him through Jason Slagle. Him and Jason Slagle have known each other even longer. But Kelvin's amazing. He runs CyberDrain and of course is the author of CIPP. Off topic, migrated pfSense from Untangle. However, when using OpenVPN on my Pixel over the mobile network, it sometimes has issues accessing local nodes on my network. Wi-Fi always works well. Not sure. Using OpenVPN on my Pixel. I don't use OpenVPN on there. NetBird is definitely way better than NetMaker. NetMaker doesn't have any phone support, and NetMaker is way more complicated. I mentioned it in a video I just published, but I did not do a deep dive on it because I don't plan to. I watched part of the video on Awesome Open Source who did a video, and it's linked in my forums. So if you want to watch someone who has done a tutorial on it, but I looked at it and said it's kind of complicated. And when I spent some time in the forums, people were complaining about updates breaking the system and causing them to have to rejoin systems to it. So I feel like it's still a very beta product. Synology does have an email backup program. Yep. WSUS, the Windows Update Server, is the best solution for that. Dell switches suck. What do you use for Radius? I have free Radius built into my pfSense, if that's the question you're asking. SaneBox or another email help me tool. I'm partial to using this. Let me share screen, Chrome tab. I really like MX Toolbox. That's my go-to for testing email problems. They're just solid for doing that. Another people voting for Mailgun and SendGrid. They both are good. Favorite VPN on pfSense when using your phone? Probably WireGuard. WireGuard or Tailscale. Tailscale is my go-to because it just works. What, other than asking your ISP, is the best way to get a static IP? Well, your ISP is the only one who can give you one, other than if you want to spin something up in the cloud. So you're going to have to get that from your internet provider. You love the content? You say I'm a wonderful asset. Thank you very much. When can we expect the next hot sauce video? Is there more employees? Now there are more employees CNWR. Good question. I have actually had to cut back on the hot sauces because they've caused me some digestive issues. So I have not talked much about the hot sauce because I have not been consuming it as much, which is unfortunate. I really like hot sauce. Does your Netdata dashboard display information for your individual application containers in scale? Mine only seems to show overall host machine info about Netdata container itself. Probably not, if I had to guess. I'll look, but I don't think it can see them. Let's log in and look. Web portal, continue. My guess is nope, it doesn't see all the different containers. Oh well. The answer is it does not. I'm not sure if there's an option to allow it to or not. Just bit the bullet on Tailscale. Couldn't get STS working with on 2 OpenWRT boxes. Tailscale is so damn simple. It is. So would you store photos and videos and docs in a separate SSD pool? Look and upgrade to 10 gig UniFi switches for TrueNAS and personal computer. I'm editing videos at 10 gig on a spinning Rust pool. So yes, you don't have to put them on an SSD. If you have a handful of drives, and we'll go here to my storage. So this is my SSD pool called Flashy, and my Rusty pool, which is 8 drives and 9 terabytes, has no problem editing 10 gig videos. So my videos are all stored on, we'll go to the data sets themselves. Here's my whole video archive. It's only about 4 terabytes on this drive right now. And yeah, it's fine. It works. You don't have to use a SSD pool. You'd be surprised how fast these are. If you have an AWS account, you can set up simple email services and email usage based on, for most going, pennies a month. Okay. What do you host most of your stuff? TrueNAS K3, separate VM for Docker. XCP-NG is the best way I can answer that for things. I mean, some things are hosted in Linode. My website's in Linode. Oh, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video. I did update my site some more and added a few more channels. If we go to the Things We Love page, I've added more things on here. So if you want to check this out, I've got more YouTube channels I've been adding to the recommendations. So I'll throw a link in here for anyone who wants to just see what other YouTube channels I find have valuable tech content. I thought about making a list of the retro channels because that became a discussion on LinkedIn with some friends today. A lot of retro channels are definitely something I like watching at night. But I think most Retrobytes is, I might even list it on it. Retrobytes has just got some really solid history channel stuff that I love. Like they covered all kinds of histories of different computer technologies. Maybe I'll add that one on there. Looking at GINet Travel Wi-Fi router has WireGuard OpenVPN built in with OpenBRT. Do you have any thoughts on these type of travel routers? I don't understand the use for travel routers. I'm weird. I have a VPN on my phone. I have a VPN on my laptop. I don't bring anything else with me besides my phone and my laptop. That's why I don't know what I need a router for. Maybe I'm missing something, or my use case is more limited. When I travel and go to a hotel, I just connect to their Wi-Fi and then I tunnel my VPN to my office and I'm happy. I don't understand. Like people really get it's obviously a really big topic, and people have asked me to do videos on it. My challenge of doing a video is understanding a use case for it of why I would want a travel router. Chris just did a video. It's clearly a popular topic. Chris from Crosstalk Solutions. Well, I don't know if I am not sure if I'm qualified enough. 45 Drives has the best videos out there on Ceph. I plan to do a Ceph video at some time, but I would not consider myself a source on that. The experts are really 45 Drives. Thank you. I think it requires Netdata to be integrated each individual app. No, I think Netdata has to be integrated at the base level of the OS. Then it can see everything under it better. That's my guess. Have you tried the XO Lite interface? Do you know when updates and Orchestra update interface is coming out? Excited to roll out sometime next year. I don't have a date for when they'll come out with a new interface on that. With a 2-server setup, web, DB, payload, would you recommend XCP-NG, TrueNAS, or both XCP-NG in a cluster? Website peak, roughly 100 concurrent users. I mean, that's 100 users is not a lot, but it kind of depends on what the website's running. 100 users on WordPress is really easy. I only have myself. I'm trying to think. I think there's only 2 cores on mine. My system is so minimal that runs my WordPress site and it gets thousands of visitors a day and has no problems. So it kind of depends on what it's running. Scoping a system based on very little details is hard. You have to understand the application that's running on it and how intensive that application is. Yes, the hover hosting problems have been resolved. That was a confusing problem. Hover doesn't know how my account got switched. I have a feeling an employee was involved that probably changed my account to use email, which I don't understand why they had the 2FA. It's all back on normal 2FA now. So I thought Hover switched it. Hover said they don't know why it was switched. It was confusing. But it's all fixed now, and Hover's outage problem is fixed. Hover ended up getting their email blacklisted, so it was a big problem. Tailscale just works. My primary VPN, usually OpenVPN, but when you use SSL, search expires suddenly and you need to get work done. Tailscale is still there. Headscale if you have it set up. Yes. How's it going with DNSSEC for your domain? That's finished. How much of your data would you consider important? I got a few terabits of Plex ISOs that I care less about backing up. I doubt there's more than 50 gig worth of important files. I don't know. I consider anything I keep important, all my music and all of my other content that I've legitimately copied to a server. I consider that all stuff I don't want to redo. So I have it all replicated, but I don't have that much content. I'm more of a text kind of person, which compresses really well. I don't collect as much large data. Where did that? All right, cool. I get about 500 megs over SMB with my 111 machine. TrueNAS scale 5, 8 terabyte hard drives. The speed adds up rather quickly using RAID Z mirrors. Yes, it does. Do you still have IM root merch available, and can you ship to AU? I assume I use Teespring. They handle all my fulfillment. I think they ship there. I don't know. The background doesn't scale for me. I don't understand. So if we go to lawrencesystems.com, is it because you're using a wide screen? It seems it scales kind of weird, actually, now that I'm looking at it. I'll show you. I made it really wide, so not 1080 wide. I made it as wide as my monitor. So it does look weird, but I don't think many people view websites like that. I think people view websites in like a more normal format like this, which looks much better. Because this is a nice normal format, but I don't know. I use Travel Router. I use Travel Router for my wife and sons. Travel Routers made more sense to me when data was more expensive and you could have cheap one SIM unlimited data. Is Ceph the go-to now? No, Ceph is still very complicated, but has good use cases to solve very complex problems and large storage problems. Some people use travel Wi-Fi routers to plug into the hotel Ethernet if you have a port in a room. You know, the last few times I've stayed in a hotel, there has not been a working Ethernet port in there. I can't say there hasn't been an Ethernet port. I have said there is not a working one in the last few hotels. I think they've decided to disable them. You nice if you got family members coming with you, have stuff like Tailscale and AdGuard built in. Travel routers are handy if you have a lot of client devices. Saves time setting them up. So I guess you set up the travel router to connect to the hotel Wi-Fi, and then instead of all the individual devices, I guess I don't travel enough with enough people. R630 is getting a little long in the tooth and definitely pretty power hungry. Travel router has VPN for your normies. Don't need to install stuff on their phones and laptops. But normies don't use travel routers. So, and then the configuring of a travel router requires specific knowledge. It doesn't work automatically when you connect to the hotel. So you still require some setup work. At that point, I would just load Tailscale on my wife's computer if she needed to use it and actually get to resources at home. By the way, my wife never needs to get to resources at home when she travels because there's nothing here she's interested in when she's not here. Making a video about free services for Homelabbers, Oracle, cloud offers. I wouldn't use anything Oracle, so I don't know. What do you think of a cluster Proxmox over Netbird? That I don't think you can cluster Proxmox over Netbird. I might be wrong, but I don't know. I don't think Proxmox will cluster over remote connections with too much latency. Someone says Teespring does ship to the EU. Awesome. Tom, already been in a group, more than one Plex server set up one account. All the Red article says you can do it, but I haven't figured out. Can have more than one Plex server set up in one account. I have no idea as I don't use Plex anymore. The HL15 is running well. I need to finish that. I've been using it. It's currently in use as a, what is it doing right now? It's being used for storage. There we go. So it's currently a storage server. It's fast. It's really fast. It's not doing much right now. I'd have to run some speed test on it. But yeah, it works quite well. Oh, these are all the birds and Tailscales I set up because I was speed testing them. I want to do some comparisons between Netbird and Tailscale. They're about the same speed. So I just was curious. It was only a small speed difference between it. It was not substantial. So it didn't make it into the video because it wasn't interesting. Do you think Cisco Meraki is a good product? Is it better than UniFi? There's always a lot of debate about that. I have some testing I'm planning on doing on more of the Meraki. We are I think we're the largest Meraki reseller in Ohio now. So we sell enough Meraki that, Cisco cares about us, but Meraki is a substantially more expensive product. It is not on the same price range as the UniFi. It's got subscription fees and everything else. So I will do an updated video at some point talking about Meraki, but it's not really for home users in terms of, it's home users who have a good budget. It works, but yeah. Favorite firewall is going to be pfSense. Dual WAN load balancing on travel router can be handled with 4G, 5G signals. I always carry 2 smartphones, unlimited data plans across 2 different networks. Not an issue that comes up. Most of the hotels I stay at have decent Wi-Fi, and my one phone seems enough. I've never needed high bandwidth when I travel. See, I just don't have that. I guess I'm just having less use cases than people. I guess people who are willing to pay for 2 phone services with unlimited internet to load balance them have much higher internet demand than when they travel than I do. I see my Netbird question from a previous live video turned into a video. I've had a few people mention it, you included, and I started playing with it, and the more I play with it, I started liking it more. Have you moved to Jellyfin? I moved to Emby. I guess I'm supposed to move to Jellyfin next. Emby's not broke. It works. I don't know why I should move to Jellyfin. I think Jellyfin's open source and Emby's not, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I moved to Emby and it worked fine. And I just don't have enough oomph, so to speak, to say, oh, I need a switch again because everything's already set up and working. You can have a Proxmox over a virtual network, but it's going to run like molasses. Latency is a big issue when you have the systems tied together in XCP-NG, it's called a resource pool. That's just a challenge. This is a VMware problem. This is really a hypervisor problem. They're not really designed that way. I think they have a feature called stretch networks that you can do inside of VMware, but it's kind of a weird use case. I build separate resource pools for those devices. That would be something that makes more sense. Are you guys using a Cisco VPN for clients or third party? I don't know. Mostly my clients that went over to CNWR are still using OpenVPN, but I imagine because they have Meraki's installed, we probably use some of those. I don't know how often we do. I don't have like that insight. I don't do the day-to-day on every client. Why did I move away from Plex? Was easy. It wasn't working properly for me. I had the weirdest problem with Plex that I could not solve. Plex was working and one day it stopped. The reason it stopped working is I run it on a Synology and it didn't want to work anymore and I couldn't figure out the why. It would play and just randomly stop the video. I thought there was something wrong with my Synology. I uninstalled, reinstalled Plex numerous times. I couldn't find a problem with my Synology. I loaded Emby on the Synology, set it up, and it worked flawlessly. Matter of fact, the Emby is still pointed to the folder called Plex because I just removed Plex, loaded Emby, and it's worked so nice and had no problems and plays on my Chromecast. I just said, I don't want to mess with this because I just want my wife does watch things on Emby, and now she can watch things on Emby without any problems. So once the problem was solved, I went back to more important topics. Have you employed any power backups? I have a UPS. There's not much of a tour to give of it. I have a single UPS. Travel routers can mean you bring a lot of devices. So you set up a VPN router if it's just one phone, laptop. Okay, I guess my problem is I don't bring enough devices with me when I travel. What do you guys have for streaming devices? Built-in Android TV? I just have a bunch of Chromecasts. I think Chromecasts are my favorite, simple, cheap solution for streaming. So speaking of Meraki, you just said pfSense is your favorite firewall. What would you make? What would make you put a Meraki in versus a pfSense considering they meet all the needs? Nothing. I mean, I'm going to go to pfSense first, and we just have a bunch of clients because CNWR had them all set up with Meraki. If someone needs layer 7 filtering, Meraki. That if layer 7 filtering is something people want, I tell them not to buy a pfSense. It's funny because people want it. I just had a quote I gave someone because they wanted pfSense to do layer 7. I said, sorry, not going to happen. They then got a quote because they said, well, how much is a Meraki? I gave them a price and they said, no way, I'm not paying that every year. And I said, okay. And the conversation ended. I was like, you don't want layer 7 that bad. Any hint of a hardware capable, low power mini PC to run Plex Emby Jelly on it? I'm not the best at that. I don't think it takes much to run it because I look at my Synology. I mean, Synology runs it fine. The Synology I have really isn't that fast. It's a Ryzen. I forget what it's an RS1221. And I'm going to pull up this is what I'm running it on. So if it runs on this and the specs on this are only a Ryzen V1500B, and I have no problem playing movies on my TV with this. It doesn't take a ton of horsepower to do it. XCP XOA user, have you used ExoStore? No, I have not. I'm waiting until the new version comes out, then I'll take a look at it. I'm not using ExoStore right now. Catching up all the questions here. Does UPS just power your rack or does it cover your rack and desktop? I just have it covering a rack. There wasn't enough wattage. Well, actually, I got a bigger one now. I probably could move my desktop to it, but I haven't. So it just right now, it just covers my rack. I probably should put one on my desktop. I just don't, of course, I'm saying this. I haven't had enough power problems in a few years since I moved here to warrant bothering with it. The power just hasn't gone out. So I really haven't like thought about it. And when power does go out, I'll completely think about it and go buy another UPS or something. How would you prefer active real-time failover VoIP with two different ISPs per site, two distant sites? Would you go SD-WAN, overlay VPN, or traditional? I would do none of those unless you have a site that goes down all the time. I wouldn't waste my money on SD-WAN. SD-WAN is a good solution to solve that problem. How often does the problem occur? Is the bill from the SD-WAN and any extra challenges that may come with it worth that convenience? Most of our clients, we don't have this set up on because the internet goes out so infrequently, no one brings it up. And solving for a problem that is so infrequent that no one brings it up, I mean, I think a lot of people sell it because they like upselling things and they usually have like a fee to manage the SD-WAN. But I don't really think it's an issue. I prefer Suricata Smart, but that's a personal thing. Probably a context I'm missing there, but yes. Any plans for an Engenius Fit product review? I don't like Engenius. They sent me a product to review, no information on it. And I was laughing because someone pointed out here on live stream. I brought it up in a live stream. I was like, I haven't reviewed this yet because I couldn't find it online. It's a new product they released. They mailed to me saying it was a new product. Ended up never reviewing it because they discontinued the product 6 months after they mailed it to me. I didn't do anything with it for 6 months because you couldn't buy it anywhere, which was confusing. And it was a new model according to their website. It just had no stock availability anywhere. So I was waiting to do the review on their switch. I generally have been aggravated with them. When I did my other review of their cloud system, I told them how bad their documentation was. I corrected their documentation and sent that to them. They didn't fix it. So when I did the video, my video says the documentation is wrong on how VLANs work. Let me explain to you how to do this. And I mentioned in a video, I told this to the people at Engenius who says, we'll work on it. I mean, I've taken the time to tell you what's wrong with your documentation and what should be in it, and you don't update it. I kind of quit caring about your company. Like I just said, I'm not going to do any more Engenius reviews. I find them to be very haphazard. So I've just, if people want to use it, great, but I don't think they're a great product. I mean, what kind of a company has bad information on how VLANs work in their own documentation and then won't take the corrections? The other thing that was funny is there's a bunch of weird stuff in their switches that I found. Like it had extra ports that don't exist on a switch. And when I asked them why those things were there, nobody knew. And it also became a discussion in a live stream with me testing that same switch going, what do these extra features do? Is it just the fact that they use the same firmware, even if it has ports that don't exist? There's a lot of confusion with them, and I don't understand how to solve it. I don't really, yeah, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Engenius. I don't know how else to describe them other than lazy. I mean, and confusing. Why would they sell me a product that got discontinued? That's the part that really kind of bothered me. I'm glad I didn't put much time into it, but I was also scratching my head because their MSRP price was triple what anybody else wanted for it. It was a switch that was a weird half rack SFP 10 gig switch with, I think it has 6 ports on there, which is no, maybe it has 8 ports because the UniFi 6-port one is like $300 something, and they wanted $800 for an 8-port SFP switch. And I'm like, I don't really understand why. There's nothing, it doesn't even have like extra layer 3 routing capabilities. It's just a switch with VLAN support. So I decided I've ignored every email from them since. VRAC technology. What is VRAC? That sounds like something. Isolated private cloud to connect your OVH. Never used it. I don't use OVH either. Yeah, exactly. Their pricing made no sense, and yeah, I don't understand it. So it was one of those confusing points with them, and I've just decided not to work with them anymore. Like that's my solution to them. I'm just done working with you people. is if you're not going to be helpful to the YouTubers. Now I'm going to refresh the comments because there's obviously going to be some people that have thoughts on this. Oh wow, this is a popular video. Oh, I forgot to put Nebula on the list. I knew I forgot one. I didn't put Nebula on the list of that overlay video I released. I'm looking at the comments on there. One of the things I brought up in that video, and I don't really have a answer for, was I brought up, and let me pull up the forum post here. There's the release. There's the video. Share this tab. It's funny because I put the video for Nebula and I forgot to add Nebula to this list right here. But I did a video on Nebula. Actually, I know the people who design Nebula. I'm friends with them. Define Networks is a cool company. The founder and everything is. But one of the things I brought up is I put TwinGate in here. And the reason for that is really simple. A lot of YouTubers have had paid sponsored videos of it, and they reached out to me. And this is where things can get a little fuzzy. If I do a review, I'm careful about what adjectives, because if it's a review, I'm not going to take a sponsorship. If it's a tutorial, there's very important the way I define this. And I've got this part of my content ethics. This is how the conversations go when I have these companies. Some companies want a review that they pay for. This is an awesome product sponsored by blah, blah, blah product that told me to tell you the product was awesome. And I'm always careful not to do that. This is the problem with some of the reviewers who get excited and bring a lot of enthusiasm to it. I am very careful when I do a paid sponsorship to call it a tutorial and never use adjectives that describe it in some way that sounds like I'm endorsing the product, because I'm very clear, and me and Jay from LearnLinks TV talk about this a lot, that any of the videos we do, if we have a sponsor, I'll do a sponsor non-adjacent to the video. So I can say this video is brought to you by XYZ company, but we're going to talk about ABC company. Unrelated, that's a good way to do it. But when you have a company that wants you to make a tutorial on something, well, me and Jay, we do videos like that, but we do them differently. We make sure we're telling you this is a paid tutorial. I'm going to walk you through how to set up this software. I'm not going to tell you this is the best software you should be using. And that's where things like TwinGate can come in. If people sponsored the video, but then people encourage you that it's the best VPN solution, is it a sponsored review at that point? And how can you call it a review if money changed hands? This is where the complexity comes into the way YouTube rules work, and not really enforced very well. It's a lot of self-policing in the YouTube world for sponsored content, but I think the people, yourselves, the consumers of YouTube content, should always be very aware, especially because if you learn how much these YouTubers get and how much the ads are worth, I mean, you're talking about $30,000-$40,000 for a sponsored mention. Even a channel my size, I'm able to get $15,000 out of a company if they want me to do a tutorial. So you start talking about the numbers they get, and your bias goes, oh, they weren't paid a couple $100. They were paid like $15,000 for this video. Yes. So that's one of the things. So it's not just, it's one of those things like, once you start realizing this kind of money in there, you'll start also going, oh, I guess that's why the YouTube people, especially the ones that do really big channels that have constant advertisers in there, now you get the idea of how they're able to afford all the things they have in those videos. Matter of fact, the gaming ones are lucrative because if you're one of the top tier gamers on some of the Twitch services, or even, the YouTube gamers, they make insane amounts of money. They can get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars just to play a game. So I'm always so careful on that. That's why I have an entire content ethics. This is actually what shoots down some advertisers from wanting to work with me, which is fine. I'm fine with that. One thing I'll say for LTT, they're clear. You know when they're doing a sponsored review, they don't hide it. And I don't know. I have to look up what the ad rates are. Let's Google it, because I wonder if we can find ad rates for Linus Tech Tips. I don't know if there's any. If there's even an index on this. I don't see any public. They don't have any public information on there. They probably negotiate a lot of it. I'm seeing if someone has posted. These companies all have it. It's not hard. You can just contact them and pretend to be an advertiser, but it's, yeah, you're going to get some pretty high ad rates on these YouTube channels. Trying to see if someone has it. I've learned what some of the other. I know what some of the other YouTubers get because I talk to the sponsors themselves, so I know what they're paying other channels. Didn't LTT do like 30 mil last year? I don't know if they publicly disclose how much money they do. Income and profit are very different things. Yeah, look how much the top 5 Twitch streamers make. It's insane. Yes. Yeah, YouTube's lucrative. I know a lot of YouTubers. I know how much I have relatives that do this, and I know how much they make, and they do well. Yeah, some of the Twitch streams poll quite a bit. It's a lot. It is a lot. What is that? I can't remember. Social. I think Social Blue Book used to tell you. Do they list? They don't list it no more like they used to. There's a site called Social Blue Book that used to have all that information for how much they charged, but whatever. I always thought it was wild that YouTube allowed sponsor segments, seeing as they have YouTube Premium not to see ads. The problem is, and I'll completely say why I have the pre-roll ads in there, it's how little money we make on YouTube. I'm not going to lie. The ad rates have plummeted, and they're just not what they used to be. That's the big challenge with YouTube, is there's just not enough money coming in. I can't run my channel on what I make through the revenue. Because even a channel my size here, who wants to see my revenue? I am completely transparent about it. So let me pull this over to another tab. I don't mind sharing this. So even a channel at my size makes a whopping $3,200 a month. That's it. And this includes the paid advertisers, the people who subscribe to my channel. This is everything. $3,000 a month. That's not enough to run this channel. Sorry. That's for all the time and effort this takes. And if I extrapolate this out, you're talking that $36K a year. That's not enough to put all the time and everything, the subscriptions for things, all the stuff that I have, all the out costs I have to run this channel does not work on that kind of money. So this is why everyone has so many. Matter of fact, YouTube has gone down. I used to make more with less views. The ad rates have gone down on YouTube, mostly after the pandemic, because some of the big advertisers just haven't had to advertise as much. So here we are. You don't make as much as you used to on there, which sucks. I would love an extra 3K a month, but it's not an extra. It takes a lot of time to produce all this content. So it's not like free 3K a month. It's constantly dumping time and effort to put together videos, not to mention all the equipment I have in the studio to support it. So yes, that's monthly. You can see at the top here. Let me zoom in. It says 28 days. So this is the revenue over 28 days. I can also extend it out over 90 days. So it's, 90 days there. I can say how much for 2023. And I had, because there was a couple months where the revenue was a little higher. So this year, the estimated revenue is about $44,000 I'm taking in. So that's it though. That's think about having a channel with as many views as I have, and that's all you get. Do premium subs improve the outcome somewhat, or is it negligible? There's somewhere I can find a breakdown to the premium subs, and it's in there as well. Keep it up. Your channel gets the same number of views as usual. Yeah. Oh yeah, you still got to pay taxes on all this here in the US. That's before taxes, by the way. That's crazy. I'm averaging 1.7K a month. Yeah, this is the thing. It's one of those it's just not it's weird because I used to make a lot more and it slowly slid down. I don't really understand why. Then I got hit with that bad content thing and I haven't recovered from that. That whole, if you kind of look, there's a trend of it not being as much as it used to be because I got hit with those stupid content errors. If my wife could pull in 3K doing YouTube videos, it'd be an extra for me. You have the full income from CNWR as well, the consulting side of the business. Oh yeah, I own two companies. So I'm a partial owner of CNWR. I own Lawrence Systems, my YouTube revenue. Then I have affiliate revenue that I get for any affiliate links that I have. Then I have investments that bring me money. So I've got other income, which is why you don't see a ton of advertising on my channel. I have enough money. Now, am I a bad business person this way? This is an existential question. I could have more ads and I choose not to. I try to keep them at a minimum, but I'm also leaving money on the table because if I inserted or incorporated more ads, I would have more money. But I try to find a happy balance of not having to deal with advertisers and not being beholden to any of them. That's my biggest thing is I don't want to put a content schedule together and I want to do things when I want to do things. Taxes in America make my head hurt as well. My taxes are complicated because I own two businesses and I have investments. When I connect my Tailscale network remote LAN, I came across my home network, but I can't access the internet. Not sure why. I have my video on. I shouldn't block it. If you consider creating some sort of digital product such as newsletter, magazine to pull in more revenue, yes, I have a newsletter that I should promote more because it's new. I'm going to be releasing the first one in January. If you go to my website and go down to the bottom, there is the sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to be sending out a bi-monthly newsletter. So that's the next one. I have thought about doing some courses. That's on my to-do list as well. I don't know when I'm going to come up with courses, but I try to keep as much content free. I don't really want to paywall content. So I might come up with some courses that are just a way of organizing things or maybe something extra to my videos, but I want to keep as much content free as possible via YouTube. That's always my goal because I think that's the best way to get people trained is to have the stuff be available and not locked behind any type of paywall. Let's see. Yeah, Bearded IT Dad is doing the same thing I'm doing, just dumping it all back into the channel. I do that a lot. Oh, let's see. Although I would still be like Tom comfortable, so we can keep the channel alive. As a business owner, you either loathe having to come to the office after hours on the weekend or perform maintenance prevent. Did you ever loathe? No, I've always been obsessive about what I've done and I've been doing it for 20 years. So there's no, it's all just been a process. I've chose to work in tech. I like doing things. I was always the odd person because I don't like holidays that much. They're always like a big aggravation and too much noise for me. So I was always the person that volunteered to work on Christmas. That dates back to me being in my teens. That's how long I've been the person who volunteers to work over holidays. So no, I don't know. I'm weird like that. How do you move XCP-NG host to another pool? You have to eject it from one pool and you can join it to another pool. I'm recently starting to follow your channel. Great content. Keep the ads as it is. Thanks. Yeah. You sell part of your soul dealing with advertisers and brands. Yes, you do. That's what I'm trying to keep as much of my soul intact as possible. Can you share? Taxes here in the US are roughly, what are they? A third of your income? Actually, hold on. I don't know how that works. What are the tax brackets? Oh God. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's going to be roughly a third of my income at the tax bracket I'm in. So you lose a third roughly to taxes. It's a little bit more complicated because I own it. Both companies are S corps. So there's a separate, I'm not going to get into tax complexity. Look up what S corp taxes look like and you'll understand. I don't want to get way off topic on this. Get a D brand sponsorship. Tom pays the guy that knows the guy not to deal with taxes. I pay an accountant. That's one of those expenses. I just paid for my corporate filings. Yeah, I got to pay someone to sort out how much the IRS, who won't tell me how much I actually owe. It's a guessing game. And if you're not right, you could win some handcuffs. Yeah, I actually have a corporate accountant who takes care of all of it. I just say, how bad is it? This is going to be a really bad. Well, this is already a bad year in taxes because of the merger. The merger's a taxable event. Yay. I got taxed on that. Oh, let's see. But the USA taxes are less than France. No, they're more confusing. They look simple at first, but my friends who have moved here from foreign places are like, there's a lot of taxes in a lot of different places. Everything seems to have its own separate tax. Yes, it does. It's all spread out because you have income taxes and everything else. I highly recommend getting a CPA. I've had one for 20 years. Because I've had my business. I've had the same CPA firm. It's now the son running it. Mom retired essentially. Her son, who's just a little bit younger than me, he runs it now, and he's great. They've been my CPA for 20 years now. I work for there, so whenever you're talking to, should be able to tell you what you owe. Oh, if it was only that simple. Last week, my backup job in XO has sort of errors with Cypher, OpenSSL, any direction to go in besides the forums. Post in the forums. Yeah. Income tax and sales tax. Don't forget property tax as well. This house has a lot of property taxes. The taxes are really high. The building taxes for the buildings, those are the property taxes here. Property taxes are ridiculous here in the US. I mean, it's another, I don't live in that big of a house, and I think my property taxes are right around 9,000 a year. I live in a 2,000 square foot house, roughly. It's not that big, and it's that much here. Oh yeah, fuel tax too. Can't forget there. Yep. It's just silliness. It is way off topic though. What I'm going to do so we can get on a different topic, I'm going to go get a drink. I will hit the intermission because I'll come back. I don't have anything to do, so we're just going to keep on going here unless there's some reason I should stop. Since you run Lawrence Systems out of your home, as part of your home office lab tax deductible, and I know I can't. Yes, lots of things are. This is a deduction that I'm sitting in, but my business is still registered to the same address it was over on Pennsylvania Road in Southgate, which is on my it's on my old website. It's CNWR's address now is also still. You can have more than one business at location. I'm a deduction for Jason. He's gonna claim me. If we and Jason need to do a rant on VMware, that's definitely a upcoming topic. It is definitely. I don't have a 3-story house. I have a 2-story house. I have a basement and an upstairs. There's not a 3rd story. But VMware has really been screwing over the partners. Jason's team's aggravated by this, as he should be. He was definitely. I think it was it last management meeting this came up, and it was definitely one of those. Yeah, spicy VMware video. This is true. I'm far enough in. My understanding is you can only get demonetized for swearing at the beginning of a live stream. So we can say an hour and 17 minutes in that VMware at present is a shit show. I don't think that's going to get us demonetized on this particular video. We'll find out. You posted upstairs a loft ceiling. I have a loft ceiling that doesn't make it a 3-story house. I just have vaulted ceilings, but not 3 stories. 3 stories is like if you have an upstairs. There's no upstairs to my house. You have to do it in the first minute? Yeah. VMware rep watching this video. Home offices limited to certain square footage. The legislation always changes in how the deductions are applied or removed. Right now, they are updating our systems for next year's tax code. Yes, this is why I pay an accountant. They tell me what I can and can't do, because if it were up to me, I'd write off everything. But I know I can't. I know that would get me in trouble. This is why you have corporate accountants who solve these things. You're like, tell me what the maximum without me getting in trouble is that I can do. What is and isn't a valid write-off? These are questions for accountants. Watch them go dump all the partners under 500K a year in revenue. Yeah. Once they start dumping all the partners on this, it's gonna be a mess. I've noticed there's a lot of anger in Reddit forums and other places. So yeah, I don't know. We got to do a VMware rant video. We have to do a VMware versus XCP-NG video because that's what we're diving more into. The company I work for has something 1,000 servers with VMware hosted on them. I'm glad they don't mess with server side stuff. Yeah, glad it's not your problem. I don't use Node-RED, but I'm aware of it. I've not used it, but it seems pretty popular. It's a pretty cool thing. VMware is going to have a bad time. I don't know that they'll lose the industry quickly. So many companies will not switch. They will just take it. They will just pay the higher prices. They will lose a lot of their love they get from the partner programs for smaller partners, because once you eliminate all the small partners and it's only the big partners, you end up with a lot less fanfare, but hey, that's not what they're worried about it. We invested skilling up people, installing customers only to essentially have them pull the rug. This is a big factor as well. This is something you have to think about when you have a bunch of employees. What is the cost of switching as related to it? And by the way, Jason, message me if you want to join. Or I don't even think you have to. You have the login if you want to join the live stream. Feel free to jump in if you're not doing anything. But the time you put into all the staff learning something, so there's a lot of costs. It's not just, and this goes into internal IT or even us. We have a skill set, and swapping it means it's an adaptable skill set, understanding virtualization, but it still has a cost to it. I'm in the boat is having to do business taxes for the first time this year, which was all losses from putting money in equipment and construction in a studio. Yeah. Walmart used VMware. Every device I work with is VMware for the most part. I'm a manager at Walmart. Interesting. Jason's getting heated. Yeah, he's been mad before at this, as all of us are. So it's as simple as that. There's actually a company we did work for years ago. She was really sharp. And one of the things she was really aggravated was when Microsoft, what was it, after 2007 Office? When did they switch? Or maybe it was 2003 to 2007 when they started moving all the buttons around. They call it the new ribbon display. But I remember she was like, she was really kind of on a rant about how inefficient this made. She had like 40 employees that had to use Microsoft Office. And she was really aggravated with like Microsoft's just absolute push for change on some things, because she goes, this is a disruption. And she actually had a pretty good calculation for how much that disruption costed her, and employees lost productivity until they could catch up with where the menus moved to. Interface stability means something, because to most people, this is just a tool they use to get their job done. So when you start messing with that tool, they suddenly become much less efficient. How do I convince my co-managed client? It kind of depends. You can't necessarily convince them to change things. So how do you convince them to use the product you want them to use? You win some, you lose some. I don't always get to pick and choose. I guess I do. I get to pick and choose if I want to work with that client, but generally speaking, you kind of just have to decide, are you going to continue to support it? Some people will still work with it. We aren't going to stop supporting VMware. We have a lot of people using it. We're still going to keep doing that. That's not going to change. If they are, because we have some co-managed deals and they are going to keep using VMware, no problem. We'll keep supporting it. While Jason has appeared, I'm sure he has opinions on VMware he wants to share with us.
No, I actually didn't hear the past couple minutes because I came in the office. I was on my phone.
Yeah, I said you should join and rant about VMware because that is a good topic today.
Yeah. Job, I don't know what to tell him.
Oh, yeah, because some people are going to stick with it.
I mean, the problem is, so it'll be really interesting to see what they do with enterprise agreements, right? Because the really big companies are all using EAs, and that's where the actual money is for them. Is if they could unwind some of that stuff, then it's a cash cow, because the EA basically lets them run unlimited copies of it. But it's a trickle down effect, because no one new is entering that ecosystem now. Like, they killed it. Why would you learn it at this point? So eventually, because people stop learning it, it becomes more expensive to support, and the total cost of ownership ends up being lower for another solution. Because that's what will stop people from moving right now, is that, yeah, it sucks, but the total cost of ownership for, moving to XCP-NG right now for a large enterprise is higher than the additional licensing cost.
Yes. And that's kind of like where that knob lands, is how much more do you crank it up? It's like you crank it up enough, you boil the water a little bit so they stay in it, but not enough so they wander out of it.
Yeah.
I see more people asking about Proxmox. I kind of did the recent video talking about, I think the support package and the way XCP-NG is designed is probably better for enterprise businesses and where they're going with it. Proxmox is a little strange to me still.
It works fine.
Yeah, it works. It's solid. It's just more of a put together solution where they glued together a bunch of pieces of good stuff,
Yeah.
like stuff is in there and everything else. But I don't get that same support feeling from them. But I myself, and I know you, it's Debian, so hacking away at it is fun.
Yeah. I mean, so transparently, I think for the uneducated Homelab user that doesn't want to learn about virtualization technology and just wants to run something that works, that they can easily manage and that they can install out of the box and not mess with it, Proxmox is probably the better choice. But for enterprisey workloads where you are going to be looking at automation, you are going to be looking at the higher stuff, the fact that Zen is closer to a type 1 hypervisor than it is a type 2 hypervisor, I think that makes a pretty compelling argument to use Zen, because Proxmox is clearly a type 2 hypervisor.
Yeah. And like someone said here, Proxmox feels like a playground more than a real solution.
Right.
I think for Homelab, having LXC, having all the things, and I even said that in my recent video. I said, I think it's an absolute, probably highly recommended for the Homelab. It gives you so much flexibility for Homelab people.
LXC is overrated to me. I'd rather run Docker in most cases.
Yeah,
but
I'll agree with that too.
But I mean, I think the Zen Orchestra interface also looks like a playground, because I'm a VMware guy, and it's an entirely different paradigm. But
there was a Reddit thread about how it looks like Fisher Price in the VMware Reddit.
But I mean, it works. We're gonna there are some things. VMware has a leg up because they've been around. I mean, they were the first, essentially, right? So they've been doing this forever, and so they've had a long time to polish and get it right. Now, what'll be interesting is if Vates and the Zen team gets the enterprises behind them, then they will, in theory, start to get more resources, and you should start to see feature parity for some of the things that are missing come pretty quick.
Yeah. They seem pretty focused on doing it. I think they have about 50 employees now, which is pretty small, but they're a pretty focused team. And when I've talked to them, they've talked about on the back end as having a lot of large enterprise customers already. They obviously stole the Citrix user base. They made such an easy migration path for, you want to get off Citrix? Just reload this over the top. It'll even bring all your VMs over. Yeah. You could just do right over the top installs. And that made it really pain-free to get people there. Wait, someone says Proxmox is a type 1 hypervisor.
I don't think so, because it requires running on the Linux kernel, right? And so based on my definition of a type 1 hypervisor, right, like it needs to be running it needs to be running outside of that. And I mean, I guess Zen, that's why I call XCP-NG like a type 1.5.
Right. But Zen is kernel native. KVM, I believe, is kernel native too. So they split hairs. I've watched people go through the same debate because it's not.
Yeah. And I guess they're just not. So, yeah, I mean, I'm finding things here indicating that it's both a type 1 and a type 2.
Exactly. I think those are bad type 1, type 2 is bad definitions of them.
Yeah. Now. I mean, because there are definitely use cases for Proxmox where it's running QEMU on the back end, and that is definitely not type 1. That is for sure not type 1.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, it creates a little bit of confusion.
Oh, yeah. OpenStack.
Yeah. OpenStack, and I know a few people had mentioned SUSE's Harvester has come up a few times. Have you ever used that?
I haven't. I've used OpenStack actually fairly extensively. I have quite a bit of OpenStack knowledge. I mean, unfortunately, I think it's a dead technology. It's really cool. And some really cool things came out of it. They use like Ceph, but I think it's fairly dead, honestly.
It feels cumbersome and complicated. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what happened to it. It became an overly complex solution. Someone says KVM and native. So, yeah.
Yeah, but Proxmox is Debian, right? So
it's exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where people get confused. I have a video, Charles, where I describe how Zen works and what Zen is, because Zen is bigger than just XCP-NG. XCP-NG is downstream, uses Zen, but XCP-NG is the product name. Zen is the name of the hypervisor. The Zen hypervisor itself is actually used extensively in automotive and lots of other use cases. It's actually what built the original side of AWS is all Zen. But later they have and to call AWS Zen though is still not exactly true because it's the same thing. They're using KVM, but they use a very custom coded that uses their own hardware. So it's not even the same version you can use because it's purpose-built hardware that they started building. So they built it on KVM with some special drivers. I can't remember what it's called. It's their it's one of the tiers now uses KVM on the back end.
Yeah. There's a bunch of virtualization projects using KVM on the back end.
Yeah.
Nutanix.
Isn't Nutanix
Oracle Data, the newer Oracle Data appliances use it on the back end. They ditched Zen and moved to KVM, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's interesting.
So in VMware, in modern VMware, the management interface for the hypervisor runs as a container on the bare metal hypervisor.
Huh.
Right. So like that's why you get all this new native driver stuff, right? So like you're actually running the thing that you're SSHing to is a container that runs on top of the hypervisor, and you actually cannot get direct access to the hypervisor.
Are you still using Obsidian?
Yes, I am. Actually did quite a bit of note writing in it recently for my workshop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then moved all that stuff over to a Google Doc so I could share it with John Hammond.
Nice. I know. That's one question I'll ask you here. Should I sign up for the 2-day for CodeMaster, or should I do the 4-day?
It depends on if you want to go to their pre-compilers.
No, probably not.
Yeah, then ping Ray. He'll probably give you a ticket.
Okay. I can do that. I've talked about this randomly on the channel. I will do an upcoming video about how I got here. I wrote a new about page that I'm almost done and will have published. My origin story will go on there. I'll make it a video, but I actually took the time to write down all the years of the jobs I had and different things like that. That was a fun exercise. I've been working in tech since my first tech job was 1995. I forgot the names of a couple companies, and I just grouped them together as small retail shops. I actually have my tax records from back then and my paycheck from back then, but I'm not going to bother detail. They all don't exist anymore. Like the computer exchange I worked at doesn't exist anymore. Oddly, Southgate Computers still exists in Southgate, Michigan. I was working there in like 1997. So at some point it'll be part of my website. People ask, I don't really do self-indulgent ones, but because the question comes up, because it's not, I prefer making tutorial videos, not like how Tom got here, because you can't copy and paste my career. You can't copy and paste Jason's career. We can give you some insights about things we did.
You wouldn't want to copy paste my career.
No. I mean, there's certainly dumb things we probably did along the way. We can share some insights.
Yeah. I mean, my career is a case of if you make enough mistakes, eventually you end up successful.
Yeah. I did that too. I just guessed my way through a lot of it.
Okay, so I think actually technically if using KVM, both Proxmox and Zen are type 1 hypervisors. If using QEMU, then it's type 2.
Okay.
To me, they're both more type 2 because like they both have an underlying OS distribution that's running them, but the actual hypervisor is running in the kernel, and I think that is I hate being wrong on these things, and I will admit when I'm wrong. So like I'm researching in the background as we're discussing this.
Yeah, well, it's also like just like Hyper-V, is that type 1 or type 2 because it needs Windows?
If you install it as Hyper-V server, where it's basically
dedicated
OS core, then it is technically considered a type 1 hypervisor. If you run it on Windows, then I think it's type 2 at that point. Yeah,
I think we need to update the definitions.
Yeah, we need better definitions for sure.
This is not the way to do it. I mean, we can at least say if I'm using VirtualBox, I have a type 2.
Correct. Yes, VirtualBox, VMware Workstation, Microsoft Virtual PC, Fusion, right? Those are for sure all type 2.
Yeah.
But then you get weird things like Oracle VM server for x86, which is KVM, right? Like, or Z, depending on what version of it you're running. So why is that considered type 2? I don't know.
Yeah. These are, but you know, technical people are pedantic. This is what makes us fun.
Yeah.
Oh, what was someone asked if we already talked about overlay networks. I talked about them at the beginning. I just released a video on it because I think NetMaker is going to be really popular. Not NetMaker, NetBird is going to be really popular amongst Homelab users. It works like Tailscale, but has a fully self-hosted for free control plane by the authors. They actually, it's the same. The cool thing is it's the same control plane they use. So if you buy their SaaS solution, it's the same tool that you can download for free and host it yourself, which I like when companies are doing that, because now some of the other ones like Tailscale actually has helped out Headscale and doing some code commits. They are very friendly with their competitor, but it's still a competing solution. It's not the real deal, and it doesn't even have full feature parity. It's a hobby project on GitHub, which is neat. I mean, I've set it up. I got a video on it because I thought it was fun to play with, but it doesn't really compare to the full Tailscale interface versus NetBird. It's the full interface with all the features. I started playing with it last night, or no, the night before, and I couldn't stop. I was like really fascinated with how they've put it all together and gave it all away.
If you want to get really good at overlay networks, then either install OpenStack or Kubernetes and get good at the networking, because the default out of the box config for both of those run all overlay networks.
Yeah, it's more of a headache. Docker networking, I figured out some of it, but it's not. Why do they call it Mac VLAN? I don't understand. Because the term Mac VLAN, when you add another network, means something different to me than it does in Docker.
I imagine a Mac VLAN is just a backend OS layer where it's doing 802.1q tagging, right?
I thought that's what it was, but it's not. It's I know, that's exactly my confusion of it. Look it up. It works different than that. And this is why I've had, like, I figured it out, but I couldn't quote it right now exactly right. I just know it wasn't the way I expected it to work.
It can be in either bridge mode or 802.1q trunk bridge mode.
Right. It does both.
Yeah.
But it seems like with that name, it would only do one of them.
Is your port access or is it trunk?
Right. Fun stuff. My question mainly revolves on why using an OpenVPN versus doing zero trust. Does it mainly come down to visibility? It seems like everything can be much better with.
They're naughty.
Yeah. The problem with zero trust is it's a buzzword.
It's a marketing term.
It's a marketing term.
It doesn't mean anything.
It's what salespeople tell me I need, or what their product does. The overlay networks are nice because you don't have to have public IP addresses. You don't have to have ports exposed. You just have a coordination server that takes in all the data and coordinates the connections between all the devices. So as you wander around or your public IP address changes because you don't have a static one from your ISP, I recommend for home users, like the basic home users, Tailscale all day long. It just works. It's simple. You can plug it in. You can have access to your stuff at home without doing anything special. Versus home users, set up VPN, expose VPN, never update VPN. That is where the real problem comes in. Mac VLAN has been replaced by default IP VLAN, I thought, but I'm not absolutely a Docker master.
IP VLAN is layer 3 versus layer 2.
Okay. Yeah. You know, one of the things I did that UniFi Express review, one of the first things I commented on why I recommend it for home users, it auto updates by default unless they change it. And people don't usually change the defaults, and people who don't change the defaults are also the same people who never update things. So this is the perfect thing to recommend to your home users because it will just keep getting updates as security vulnerabilities come out. Is Tailscale better than WireGuard? Tailscale uses WireGuard.
Yeah. Tailscale is a superset of WireGuard.
Yeah, WireGuard doesn't have any user management. This is one of the dumb arguments when people were getting so excited when WireGuard was first released, telling me, but its code base is so much smaller than OpenVPN. Okay, it doesn't do what OpenVPN does. It doesn't have the features OpenVPN does, so you can't compare the two. Sure, it has less ciphers. That's just called a lack of backwards compatibility because it's a new product, but also it lacks user management. So how do you solve that problem? Oh, we got to write a whole user manager for it. Well, doesn't that count as part of the code now? Once again, text being pedantic. Oh, this is a spicy take. UniFi should you put a question mark after this? Has UniFi layer 3 switching gotten better?
Is it still the case where like a lot of it is CPU switched?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, it was for a lot of the early stuff, and I know,
I know it is
most
now.
of the MikroTik stuff it is, or MikroTik stuff it is, but I don't know. I don't touch it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Here's the thing: if someone comes in with a consulting call, I really need a layer 3 solution. We don't suggest UniFi. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
that means no. It's just like when you need a layer 7 filtering, we don't suggest pfSense. Sorry, doesn't do it. This is where the Meraki start coming in.
Yeah. The I mean, it depends on your needs. It probably does okay. That was phrased as a question.
Okay, did forget the question.
Does it have features like
No, there's no rules in it at all. It's just like, hey, we can NAT this essentially. It just has some routing features, but that's it.
Yeah,
It doesn't have
do any third party. Okay, it doesn't look like it does any routing protocols. So
Nope.
you get static routes. Yeah, no, don't do that.
It's so
it's like basically buying like an SG 200 or a CBS 200 level product. Don't know.
Yeah. Any decent non-Meraki level layer 3 switch recommendations?
How much? I mean, that's
a budget problem. Like,
well, that's not enough information. Like, what do you
need it? What do you need it to do?
Yeah, is it wire rate? Like, is it 10 gig? Is it 1 gig? If it's 1 gig, pfSense does fine.
We could recommend some Arista switches. We just bought them for a client. But what was the price tag on that Arista switch we bought? 20,000? Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So what Nick says is partially true. I can do that too. I can click too.
Cool.
That's cool.
There you go.
It depends on the product. Most of the CRS products, that is not the case. And it is a lot of the layer 3 stuff ends up in the slow path. But yeah, I mean, this is how big boy switches do it. They offload the CAM table, right, basically to the route to CAM lookup to an ASIC, and then they don't have to process switch the packets.
Yep. ASIC chips are the dedicated ASICs are the way to make this work properly at scale, at speed. Meraki alternative can be similar price. I would say Aruba is going to be in a similar category. The Aruba Instant On and some of the other Aruba cloud stuff, but they don't have
stuff's going to be meh. Also, most likely, it's just not designed to do that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of companies. Cisco is still the king when it comes to good, and so Juniper, Cisco, Arista are going to be your top tier products for doing layer 3 switching and extensive features on those.
And even Meraki falls apart, and if you need like really heavy layer 3 stuff, because right, like it's getting better, but what are these like web-based cloud managed things targeting? You're targeting SMB, and SMB doesn't need OSPF, right? They don't need ISIS, they don't need VXLAN, they don't need, fabric path or multi-chassis lag or any of that other fancy stuff, right? So you just don't get those features. So if you want real like wire rate layer 3 performance, you have to go to like more enterprisey gear.
Me and Jason can both answer this the same way. We have businesses, therefore everything is stretched across everywhere. Some's at home, some's here, some's there. It's not even in one rack in a data center. It's in more than one still.
So I have I have an R710 in the rack at the office, but I have a 24U rack here that's got a 710, a 720, and a 610 in it, running two 610s. No, two 610s, a 710, and a 720. I've got two Proxmox box, an XCP-NG box, and then a standalone box runner for VSD. I'm slowly replacing the Proxmox box with XCP-NG. So yes, I do.
Yeah. It's hard. It becomes more fuzzy when you do it for a living and it's your business as well. It's just there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So this, you can grab that if you want.
I have like this. This should be on a shirt. The old saying goes, everyone has a test environment. Some people are lucky enough to also have a production environment.
That would be a good shirt.
This is unusual, kind of. An HL15 is going to wander its way down to the Toledo office. So
yeah. I'm not cool enough yet for 45 drives to send me free stuff. So
we'll get there.
I'll probably eventually buy one because they are really cool.
Yeah,
but
we got to follow up on the store NATO. That's been in production for 6 months now.
I bought one.
Yeah, no, that's what I need to follow up on.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
in production use. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, and it's fast as shit. It's very fast.
Yeah, that's in one of the racks.
Okay. Yeah, I should take you there. I wonder if they'll let us film in there.
I'm sure they'll at least let us take pictures of our rack.
They'll probably let me film in there. I know the right people to ask.
Okay, perfect. We should do that. I want to do a follow-up video because we've sold a lot of 45 drives. We're about to. I was actually, if you probably noticed in the Slack channel, scheduling for the XL60. That means I'm going to go there. I don't know if I'm going to go down to Toledo tomorrow, but Monday I will make sure I'm put it on my calendar to go down there.
On Mondays, we're off because it's July 1st or January
1st.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could come down on Monday. I'll come probably meet you and hang out for a bit, but
Monday or Tuesday. I can come Tuesday as well.
Yeah, or come Tuesday.
Tuesday's better.
Yeah, we're off Monday.
Yeah, but I want to film. We have that giant machine running Proxmox. That thing. I've got some of the video on. I got the video from us taking it apart.
I was trying to figure out what hash they were trying to crack in Slack the other day because I was gonna say if you give it to me, I'll crack it on that box.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Equinox is not fun. My friends probably are partly to blame for that. They filled up somebody's rack with helium balloons, and Equinox was not amused.
You said it was ASIC versus CPU based for forwarding. ASIC is always going to be faster. I stay away from layer 3 switching unless I absolutely need to. Yeah.
I mean, essentially a layer 3 switch these days is like, it's literally just a switch with a router bolted on, and it just plugs ports into the virtual switch. That's all he's right. Like a couple messages before that, somebody, I think it was the same guy, calls out that it's a misnomer, that it's not no, it's JC the Music Man. It's this one. That is 100% accurate. It's, I mean, the switch, the thing is that the switch is capable of doing ARP and, the layer 3 to layer 2 translation, and it maintains a routing table in addition to a switching table, and it maintains, STP instances for each separate VLAN you're running, unless you're running MST, in which case you hate yourself. Yeah, I mean, that's the only difference.
Yeah. It creates a lot of challenges. Oh, look, my wife's home. Hello, honey. Poking next to the door. You're back early.
Yes.
Can you bring me a beer?
I guess.
Okay. Layer 3 switching equals speed. Someone asked earlier if we had anyone using VXLANs.
I don't know if I have anything in production. I actually have my VCP-NG, which is the network virtualization VMware cert, and I did a crap ton with VXLAN when I was studying for that. It's really cool. I like it a lot. We deal with customers that are deploying it in production, but only a little bit of that, and a lot of them these days are not using it as much as they probably were. There are other ways that some of that traffic gets tunneled, more like spiny type stuff.
Yeah, one of the neat things, they built this into Zen Orchestra now. They actually have the ability to do VXLAN in there now. That works. That's a twist off, right?
Yeah.
That's thirsty. But XCP-NG added support for that as well. So you get two options. You can do GRE tunnels between different networks. XO can coordinate GRE tunnels or VXLAN tunnels. It won't do both simultaneously. It's like one or the other, but kind of cool that they built that in as a feature so you can scale out your network that way.
I think it's because. Yeah, okay. It's because VXLAN is basically just a control plane that establishes GRE tunnels underneath. So it
Okay.
totally makes sense why you can't run both.
Yeah, you can't.
I thought that was the case.
No mini fridge in the office. Well, part of the goal of a studio is to have no noise. There's not even a computer in this room, so mini fridge would potentially cause noise problems. So there is a fridge. It's just on the other side of that door. Do you guys work with a lot of Dell VxRail stuff for your customers? We have that one school that I've been talking to that has a bunch of that one that wants to load XCP-NG on it. Because I told them they're going to have to experiment with it. They were hoping I had an answer for them of whether or not it would definitively run it, and they have like 8 or 9 of them in production, and I said you're going to have to pull one out of production.
The last handful of Save My Server servers I bought, or Tech Supply Direct, one of the two that we've bought, because we use a non-zero amount of refurbished hardware because I use a local company to put support on it, and I don't need the new stuff. It's been VxRail stuff, and it works just fine. There's nothing special about it.
I didn't think it was. I told them, yeah, it didn't seem to be that big of a deal, but I couldn't absolutely tell them they wouldn't have any problems with XCP-NG because I never tried loading XCP-NG on it, but it looks just like a Dell server.
It is just a Dell server.
It just has some special licensing on it.
It's just, I mean, it comes out of the box certified to run vSAN essentially. That's like, it may have, I don't even think it, like, they're not even doing proprietary interconnects like InfiniBand or anything anymore. It's all just stock standard bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Any favorite x86 compatible router operating systems? That's going to be pfSense, not OpenSense. I'm about to do a rant video on OpenSense. They're really getting worse about security updates and taking them a long time. They just published an update today for the SSH bug. It took them, I mean, it's only 3 weeks ago that came out, but still 3 weeks. Not that it's a 0 day, oh my God, you're going to get owned if you don't fix this, but still, why they drag their feet on some of these updates? I mean, I have a list of all the updates in the last few months that they've dragged their feet on, and people complaining there's not enough updates to pfSense. But as someone who has to update pfSenses, I prefer something that doesn't have updates just for the sake of updating. If there's a security update, that's a different situation. But so pfSense is my go-to for x86.
But it's not a router.
What's that?
It's not a router.
Okay, if you technically want it just for routing and you have x86 hardware, look at Vios. That is
Tensor or Cumulus.
Tensor, Vios, either one of those.
Didn't somebody buy Cumulus? NVIDIA.
Yeah. NVIDIA bought Cumulus. I thought Cumulus is still open source, though.
I think so. Cumulus is sweet.
Yeah.
Cumulus, if you want to turn your x86 box into something that looks like a Cisco when you log into it, then run Cumulus on it.
Vios does that too.
Yeah.
Vios, people like, oh, you should do a video on Vios. I'm like, it's kind of targeting the enterprise market. Their licensing per year is $5,000 a year. They're not, $25,000 a year. That's what it starts at. Like, they're not targeting the small business market. It's a popular enterprise solution in a niche audience.
Yeah.
I think that's what the price was on it.
No, Cumulus runs on a lot of commodity hardware.
Yeah.
Actually, how I ended up playing with Cumulus quite a bit is when I was doing my the VMware, the NV certification stuff. I ended up running Cumulus to do some of the VXLAN stuff because I didn't have any routers that would natively support terminating the head end of it.
I should do a deep dive into some of those things. I have not played with Vios much. There's a YouTube channel. This guy did like 5 videos. 4 of them are on Vios. They're so good. And then he stopped doing videos. They have graphics, animations, everything. I haven't looked to see if the channel's still alive, but it was kind of weird. This guy came out of nowhere, great presentation, great production quality, posts 4 videos and leaves. Like he had something to say about building a BIOS router, and it was a good tutorial on it, one of the best ones I'd seen, and then stopped. You can always run the dev branch of BIOS. Yeah, they give the dev branch away for free. And some companies do that. You know, if you stay on cutting edge, that's actually the business model for OpenSense. You get the new version for free. What makes OpenSense more confusing is the business people are even further behind on security patches than the people who are running the free version of OpenSense. That makes less sense to me. Yeah. At least they backport the security fixes faster, but they don't.
A 4:04 stream. Is he trying to get you to a 4-hour and 4-minute stream?
Oh yeah. Oh, maybe Saturday. I said I'd do one this year.
Yeah, that's
I'll do a 4-hour. I'm not doing a 4-hour stream today. At some point, I'm going to go sit on the couch.
No, I still have to do my workout. So I did my run. I got to go do my gym workout. Blah.
Yeah. Well, if you're not doing anything for New Year's, I don't know if you got any plans.
Oh, we're having a party.
Oh, you're having a party?
We are.
Oh, okay. So we are too. We have one, and me and Jason only live about 50 minutes apart.
It's an hour from my house to your house. It's about 45 minutes from the office to the office.
Right. Office to office 45, but Jason lives a little bit further south than that.
Yep.
I should continue to stream from the couch. No, I'm going to go watch the Usagi Electric has a new video of some. I think it was Usagi has one. I have it in my queue. Me and Jason were talking about this earlier about our love of these retro channels, because it's just fun watching people go through all that stuff.
The G15 one, that was from Saturday.
It's from Saturday. Well, new to me because I haven't watched it yet.
I'm binging right now the Curious Mark Apollo S-band comms ones, and I watched like 200 minutes of it yesterday. I'm like, this is really compelling for some reason. I really like his storytelling style.
Yeah, it's really if you haven't seen Curious Mark's videos on that, I mean, it's just repiecing together all the old hardware is just fascinating.
Yeah, it's relevant right now because I'm giving a talk. We're giving the talk at CodeMash on reverse engineering binary analysis. Me and John are. I'm finally meeting with him tomorrow so we can talk it through. But I've got the slides about a third done.
And when we say John, we're actually referring to the John Hammond, not another John Hammond, but John Hammond of YouTube fame now.
Yeah,
I knew him before he was famous.
Yeah,
when he first joined Huntress.
He was he had a fairly popular YouTube channel before he joined Huntress, but it really blew up after.
Yeah, it really blew up after. I think he had probably 10 or 15,000 subscribers when he joined there. So he had already got his start, was getting his feet wet in the world. But yeah, John's awesome. I've met him in person a handful of times. He's absolutely as nice in person as you think he is.
Yeah. And very very humble. Yeah.
Very humble. His talk at MSP GeekCon was excellent.
I'm gonna pop that one. Yes, I have. It's going to break everything.
Yes, I'm excited for all the things that will break.
It will break everything.
Because first we tried with ESNI, it didn't get off the ground. Now we're going to go with encrypted hello. It's going to just destroy all the filtering that works on SNI headers.
Yeah, it's gonna drive a bunch of people back to SSL inspection, and that is not great. Like I realize why Cloudflare is doing it, because they don't want that observability, but the alternative is all the people that want the observability are just going to drive to SSL inspection.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a mess. Cisco had their whole even when Quick came out, because when everything started moving over to UDP with the QIC protocol, Cisco had a whole write-up on why it's a bad idea.
Yep.
I remember them really poo-pooing it because it made it harder for them to inspect everything.
Let's see.
University of Toledo is still, wow.
Yep. Yeah, I mean they run NAT these days, but you still get lots of things. They have another /16 too, and I keep telling them, like, because they bought the Medical College of Ohio, which also had a /16. I'm like, dude, you guys need to give one of these back.
Yeah.
You don't need 131,000 public IPs.
Tell that to Wayne State. I think they have a bigger one.
Yeah.
Wayne, and by the way, if you spend any time in Shodan looking at Wayne State, you may even find still a reverse DNS entry for a UPS, because someone there thought everything should get public IPs because they have them.
Yeah.
And
the best thing at UT was it would dynamically create public DNS based on what your host name got via DHCP. So we had there was it.utility.edu, and we had all sorts of shit like this is sh.it.utility. We had a field day. They got mad at us.
So we had a project. We did a little bit of consulting. We didn't end up bidding the project because it was just too big of a mess. But the good news is I still have friends at Wayne State. So I messaged them. I'm like, do you guys realize all of this? They're like, yeah. And they got to the powers that be and removed a bunch of it. The DNS entries exist, but the SNMP is no longer exposed on the UPSs.
I mean, back when the internet was a safer place, I used to just randomly print stuff to random university computers. Like, it was fun.
I know. I loved finding did you remember the story of the hacker giraffe?
No. So
it's kind of dumb because they did what we knew. Us old people know that this exists. There are a absolute plethora of opened HP printer ports on there. And the hacker giraffe decided one day, he was a script kiddie, but became notoriety because he posted, I think it was PewDiePie things to all of that. He ended up making Darknet Diaries. He just became obsessed with doing it. And everyone's like, you're kind of doing something dumb, but it's low hanging fruit because there's so many exposed printer ports. Just no one ever thought to send mass amounts of emails out. Then that later led to someone who started sending random bomb threats out.
Oh, okay. This I do remember.
Yeah, that part, that's what actually ended up getting more attention and started people going, oh, maybe we shouldn't leave all of our printers open. And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we're out for sure. We've been out for 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Of IPs. Like, there's not the top level /8 exhaustion occurred in 2011. So like, you can only get IP space now if you can very much show a need, and they are allocating less than /24 in most cases.
Yep.
It's impossible to get IPs.
Yeah. Riley, he went on a bidding site because he had to, Riley from HostiFi, to buy his I think he's got a /24.
Yep. I have one that I may be able to obtain.
Good. I need to move some hosting stuff. So that's I'm
working on it. I won't say any more about it publicly here, but my name is tied to an Aaron, and I am the point of contact, and I have,
Well, cool. I need to decide soon, and this will be a separate conversation. I need to move where my forums are hosted. I'd actually prefer to host them internally, but they get a decent amount of traffic. My problem is people keep posting screenshots. I keep telling them, don't post screenshots to my forums. So I'm watching my storage keep climbing up, and it's going to be expensive to host it in the cloud. Serve the Home, their forums cost them quite a bit of money. So that's why they host all their stuff in a colo, but their bill is something, I forget how much their bill is, but it's, several $1,000s a month. I'm not there yet, but at the rate my forums are expanding, if I can host it internally, I have the know-how. I just need the bandwidth.
Okay, we can I sent you a message.
Perfect.
I sent you the rest of the message.
Oh. I like that. Okay.
Yes. That one is not bandwidth limited. It's 10 gig.
Oh, nice. Yeah, 10 gig would be fine. On there.
Yeah.
I talk to Patrick from time to time, and I don't need extra capacity from Serve the Home. I mean, we have access. We have access in a data center and a colo that we could do things in. But Patrick, actually, I hope he does a new version of it. He did a good cost-saving analysis over the last couple of years of what he saved. It's called Coming Down from the Cloud. It's part of the Serve the Home blog post. but it's a lot cheaper than running this stuff in Amazon and places like that when you grow. I'll have to figure out and do a calculator for how much bandwidth I need. I do know because I have that logged. I just don't have that log. I'm not logged into that right now to tell you exactly how much bandwidth I need. But it's also a future-proofing thing because I'm getting like 30,000 visitors a week or something to my site. So that number is getting every video I do, especially like today's video, all reference things in the forums, which means when I'm done with this live stream, I'll go to the forums and probably have to approve a handful more people that join my forums. I think there's like 6,000 people in my forums right now, but they're public. So it's the external visitors that come and visit them. I'm trying to make sure people always have a good experience and not a slow experience when they go there. It's been slow a couple times because it's just running out of bandwidth. And it's not a very fast performance machine. It's currently still in DigitalOcean.
Speaking of which, I have to pay there's a invoice due for I gotta go get my business card to pay the invoice for that IP space before they give it away.
Yeah, don't give it away.
I want it.
Yep. Just to have it. You can auction that off later for quite a bit. It's a, of course, this might be 2024 could be the year of IPv6 and make all this worthless, right?
I have that too. I have a /48. All right, this is at the risk of, I guess I'll post it here. The /V6 is easy. Oh shit, I posted it as you because I can apparently do that in StreamYard.
That's fine too.
Yeah. So that's the V6 space. Yeah.
This is funny too. If XCP-NG really takes off due to VMware, prepare for a ton more traffic. Google sends most of XCP-NG searches towards your site. Yes, I rank higher than their own forums on there.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that in the leadership team meeting last week, that we need to skill up more people because there's going to be a mass exodus from VMware, and we need to. Right now, Tom has a lot of experience. I have enough. Because I'm just a general computer nerd and can fumble my way through the pieces of it that I don't understand yet. And we have one other guy that can do the work, but I need to skill up like 3 more people to be proficient.
Yeah. I think we can do it. We've got a couple people, and we have some good nerds working for us that are pretty determined to do things. We just got to set them forth on some projects that in our lab environment where they can break it, because that's the best way to learn. It's just go at it, run head first into it a few times. That's how I got to most of the knowledge I have is just the run forward, break it enough times until it's on there. Someone asked if I talked about earlier I talked about the overlay VPNs, and I have a recent video on it. So check out my video on the Netbird. I had good interaction with the developers in Netbird. They're based out of Germany, and they're just good people. I like they reached out to me because I signed up, reached out, talked to them. They're like German level engineering, dedicated to full open source and everything. So back and forth with them. They have a new, really good new UI coming out mid-January. That's when I'll do a more in-depth video on it. They don't have dark mode right now. That much I can complain about.
Oh, that and half the MSP tools don't have dark mode.
Yeah. You just start in dark mode. Like that's what Zoros did. Zoros doesn't have a light mode.
But then you get like the I want solarized dark versus the dark normal dark mode is fine people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true too. So Netbird video coming soon. Within the next probably 2 weeks. It depends. I don't know when the release schedule is. I know what they told me, but developers sometimes tell me things. I told them I will wait till the dark mode new version of UI is out. I don't control when that comes out though. The video is easy to do because I will admit they said you can install their control plane from 0 to set up in 5 minutes. They aren't lying at all. 5 minutes. If you have a fast machine, it's 5 minutes. Their install script is beautifully automated.
You need some sort of live chat thing that's not YouTube comments.
Oh, so you can post things easier?
No, so I can have this conversation with this guy that we're conversing with in a spot that's not YouTube comments.
Yeah. Maybe they'll make that. Maybe they'll make that feature in YouTube so you can like have a breakout session.
Yeah, I know you don't like the real-time chats. You have a Discord, right? Just no one uses it.
Right. I don't know what to do with my Discord because I'm not a good Discord admin
I
at
don't
all.
think I'm in your Discord.
There's a lot of people in there. I'm just not one of them that's in there very often. Unless someone tags me in something, I only go in there maybe once a week.
That's how Discord works.
Oh, okay. I'm fine with building it up. I just need someone who's like a good community manager to say like, hey, I will nurture this baby. Matter of fact, John Hammond, me and him were talking. That's what he did. He has other people.
Yeah. He doesn't post in his Discord. It's infrequent.
Which is great.
He doesn't post anywhere. I tag him and stuff on LinkedIn, and he totally ignores it. I
think that reason is pretty simple. When you look at when he posts something, how many notices he has, it's buried in his notices. He doesn't.
Oh yeah. I'll harass him about it next week.
Yeah, we know we have his Slack. We know how to get a hold of him.
Yeah. Well, I have his phone number. I think I can text him. So.
That too. Yeah. Yeah, you have to do some out-of-band methods at some point.
Yeah. It's always surprising to me too that like somebody from the Trustmark working group called me today, and I'm like, I didn't even know you had my number.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I don't.
How's Trustmark going?
I probably have his number. I probably just didn't save it.
Me and Jason both use Signal personally. I like Signal.
Yeah, I like Signal too.
I'm really hoping they broke down their costs. I should do a video on it because I think this to raise more awareness of why you should throw money at Signal. Signal runs on donations, and they started talking about just how much it costs them to run Signal, which is extensive. And because they're not trying to sell your data, it's extremely costly to run that system. I think it was like $56 million a year in fees. Yeah. And it's not employee expenses. Like that's like hosting fees and stuff like that.
I'm on their page right now.
It's in their blog post.
Yeah, they were. I haven't donated to that yet. And eventually I will. I keep I'll
set it up as a subscription because if not, I'll forget.
Oh, that's a good idea. You can do monthly.
Yep. That's what I do with the EFF, or I'll forget to donate money to them, so I have them on subscription. Yeah, Meredith Whitaker is pretty awesome. She's head of Signal. Privacy is priceless, but Signal is expensive. And scroll through this. I'll drop the link here for everyone to see. But yeah, it costs a lot of money to run this. It is what it is. Storage, 1.3 million. Servers, 2.9 million. Registration fee, $6 million per year. Total bandwidth, $2.8 million per year in bandwidth.
What are the registration fees? I'm very curious about that. I mean, they're a 501c something.
Yep. The registration fees are all the text messages. That's how much it costs to send all those texts to activate Signal.
Yeah. Okay, so because I thought they stopped falling back to SMS.
They do, but they don't do a fallback. But each time you register, that's what it costs.
Okay.
There's somewhere in there. They break down every detail of what this costs and everything else.
Yeah, if they're a 501c3, which I believe they are, you should be able to get a total breakdown of their costs.
Yeah, they do. They're very public about it.
Yeah. Oh, they talk about what they are.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Every little bit of it. This is a really long blog post. Yeah, $19 million a year to sustain our ongoing development efforts. About half of Signal's overall operating budget goes towards recruiting, compensating, retaining the people who build and care for Signal. Benefits, HR, taxes, recruiting, salaries included is $19 million a year. I think 56 was like their overall what they pay for everything for employees and all that. They don't have that big of a team. It's pretty wild. But I may break it down and like show some of their filings. I'm big on going to things like Charity Navigator and stuff like that. I'll go
Yep.
and look at all the details. I'm curious. I want to know, what are they actually spending it on?
Yep. I will too. I mean, I do that. I set up a little, not a ton, but I mean, I do the same thing. I've got a bunch of the creators I support on Patreon. None of them for like $1 million a month or anything. But if everyone gives, I feel if everyone gives $3, $4, $5 a month to the creators they like, then everyone has a good time and there's enough volume there that all the creators are taken care of.
Yeah, I subscribe to, I donate to Darknet Diaries, 2.5 Admins. It's all a few dollars a month, $5 a month here, $5 a month there. I don't mind. I feel better about that because, I mean, probably you've seen it. Amazon Prime is like, we're upping it or you're going to get ads.
I did not see that.
Yeah, that's a new thing. People are mad about Amazon. It starts pretty soon. Your Amazon Prime is going to have more ads. I really don't watch much Netflix or Amazon, so it's going to make
I don't either.
Bothered more than me. She watches Amazon Prime all the time.
Oh, it's only $3 a month. I mean, that's a problem.
It's $3 more.
It's only $3 a month, and then they'll collect the $3 a month from me.
It's usually how I won't watch ads. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not an ad person.
Oh, the ads on the online streaming stuff are the worst because it's like there aren't enough of them. So like literally you'll be watching a show and it's like 7 ads are rolling through because that's all they have to show you. And it's terrible.
That, that's part of the YouTube problem is you get these same terrible ads. It's why it's worth it to pay for the YouTube premium because the ads are so bad. They're not just the ads. They're the fact that they're the same repetitive, terrible ad.
And at least every other one is for the ASCPA, which is 1, not a great charity. And 2, it's like, these dogs, we let them suffer for 7 extra minutes so we could film them.
Exactly.
I'm definitely working on getting this live stream demonetized.
Yeah, that's all right. That's what we do sometimes. We're going to wind it down. I don't think YouTube algorithm wanders down this far in that. Although I've been using that Taja AI to index the videos once they're posted. I should probably start doing them to the business technicality ones as well. It does nice summaries that it puts at the beginning. It does timestamps for all the things that were talked about on each of the videos. It's a nice tool.
Cool.
Ooh, what are some of the tips for end user email security? Use Fin, PHIN.
We use Fin and Mimecast right now. I think there's still some legacy IronScales customers and some legacy Proofpoint customers that are on the 2 sides of the house.
Yeah.
Fin is cheap and good, and they're great people.
Yep.
Mimecast works well if you're willing to figure out which 300 of the 40,000 knobs you need to turn.
Yeah. Once you get Mimecast sorted out, I complain about it, the annoyance of it, but it works. So it's a good filtering system.
If you do this thing that he's harassing you to do, you should post and get guests on for it. So you don't have to rant alone for 4 hours and 4 minutes.
Yeah, I could rant alone, but I shouldn't rant alone for that much. So I'll figure out a time when I can schedule as many people as are willing to join and come and go. Like it'll be a block of time. I'll give you and several of my friends links they can come on and join for a little while.
Yeah, just don't do it in a Google Doc or I'll write poop in it like I did to Wes's.
I mean, gotta insert a few poop jokes here and there.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go play dominoes with the kids.
Yep, and I'm gonna go watch TV and wind this down. So thanks everyone for joining. Awesome doing 360 vlog episode 363 for 2 hours and 18 minutes. And yeah, that's a lot. Me and you will have to do a VMware rant. We'll get that scheduled. So
yep,
because maybe VMware will release all the details of how they're going to screw people. Right now, they're screwing people. We haven't figured out all the hows yet.
Well, if you're special, then you'll get an invite to the invite-only partner program sometime in January. Until then, it's Schrodinger's partner program, or you don't know if it exists or not. So
yeah, but you have till February to get off of it. We set deadlines, but not start dates.
Yeah.
Sounds fun. All right, later, everyone. Thanks.